stand there for a moment before gingerly putting my arms around him from behind. Yes! Yes, hug him! I love all the hugs! Hello, beautifuls! This is Aromie here, and welcome back to Mystic Destinies Serendipity of Aeons. I hurt my chin. But we are here with the decision of a lifetime, saying if we don't know all the sacrifice was the right path, we're ruining everyone's life for one person. And I'm kind of going towards this one. I ruined everyone's lives just to save you. Tell me that doesn't make me a bad person, an evil person. It does not, at least in my eyes. How could you say that? People died because of me. What is more evil? To deny the person you saved to deny the person who saved you a chance to return life, to let their soul fade into the abyss? Or is it more evil to risk entire worlds to try and save that person? It's more... How can I answer that question? It's more evil to deny the person a chance. It's more evil to risk entire worlds. How can I answer that question? There's no right answer. Both are evil or not evil. I can't weigh a soul against the risk of other lives. You can't assign weight to people's lives and souls. I agree. Sometimes there is no right answer. There are only paths before us, and we must step forward and choose the one we feel is most right for us in that moment. That is why I cannot blame or shame you for your actions. Everyone has their own burdens to bear, our own challenges to overcome. The regrets we carry from our actions can feel as if they will suffocate you. But if you can remember how far you have come all the while looking ahead to the future, looking toward whatever it is you are fighting for, then I know you can find whatever it is you are seeking, or achieve any dream you are reaching forward. Hikaru sighs and moves away from me. Thank you for telling me your story. I have much to contemplate before we enter the village tomorrow. You should rest for now. Feeling worn out from all the tears and recounting my sad tale, I don't argue when Hikaru unrolls the bed for me. I lie down and he sits cross-legged in front of the fire. The flames reflecting in his aqua-colored eyes is the last thing I see before I fall into a deep sleep. Day 5. Halfway there. When I wake the next morning, Shizuka is already back from wherever it was that she went. We're packing up our things, but I notice that Hikaru seems unusually down as he does. Shizuka seems to notice as well, as she stops what she's doing and stares at his hunched over form. Did something happen last night? I watch as Shizuka leans over slightly and rests a hand on Hikaru's shoulder. He stops what he's doing and looks up at her, his expression unchanging. The moment bothers me somehow and I look away. Because you love him. We loved him in the very beginning of starting up this game. I still don't know what they are, but how can I just ask that? I realized I had half hoped that telling Hikaru what she had done would change his opinion of her somewhat, but it doesn't seem like it has. I don't even know why I care so much anyway. She was there before me, so it's only natural. Ugh, why am I getting like this? I'm here to save Hikaru, that's all. But my mind betrays me and forces me to remember how kind he was to me last night. But if you can remember how far you have come while looking ahead to the future, to whatever it is you're fighting for then, I know you can find whatever it is you're seeking, or achieve any dream you're reaching forward. I'm not seriously getting feelings for this guy, am I? You already started getting feelings for him in one of the timelines saying that he was your Hikaru, so I don't remember which timeline that was. Was it shows route? I don't know. I clasped my hands to my cheeks suddenly. No, why is my face so hot? You can't be serious, Michiko, just because he was nice to you once. There's a part of me that answers that wasn't when these feelings, whatever they are, actually started. But I shut down that train of thought immediately and clenched my fist. It'd be a seriously bad idea to fall for a guy like Hikaru. Besides that, he won't even remember any of this if I succeed. I'm so sad. I want to cry after reading that line. Things will go back to the way they always were. There's just no way this can end well for me. So I want to cry. I want to break down crying right now. So I need to just focus on the task at hand for now. I'm risking everything, and current Hikaru will not remember a single thing that I did for him. I nod to myself and force a smile. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Get his soul fragments, fix all the mess I've caused, and get back to my normal life. I'm gonna remember everything. You might as well wipe out my memory. With all Shizuka's taught me, I'm sure I won't need the extra classes anymore either. With that decided, I get up to join my two strange companions. We're finally headed into the village this morning. After days of walking and seeing nothing but forests and precious few other travelers, I'm really excited to visit a town. Hikaru, however, hasn't said a word all morning. His face has been incredibly grim, even for him. He didn't even put up a fight when I told him I could at least walk up the steps by myself. Mother, nope. Shizuka has been quiet as well. As endless steps progress, I find myself finally unable to stand the silence. Hikaru? Hikaru, walking slightly behind both of us, merely grunts in response. Are you feeling alright? Another grunt. I can't tell if it's supposed to be good or bad, and I sigh. Right, then. So much for heartwarming talks bringing us closer. I decide to just shut up. Since apparently everyone prefers that this morning. You'd think they'd be cheerful about getting to their goal after traveling so long, but maybe there's something I don't know about going on. Could it have to do with why Shizuka left by herself last night, or something to do with the town itself? I rack my brain trying to think about the possibilities, but in the end, without any more information, I can't really come to a conclusion. About halfway up the steps, or what appears halfway up the steps, we sit down to eat some lunch. I'm not sure I've ever had this many rice balls in my life. At least this combined with all the walking should have helped me lose a few extra pounds, I guess. Shizuka smiles at me as she knows what I'm thinking. We will be able to get some more food in the town. I'm sure this must have been difficult for you to get used to. I'm still not entirely used to Shizuka comforting me, but I nod. What I really can't wait is to eat some meat. Any kind of meat, really, or vegetables. Ugh, both sound so good right now. Shizuka giggles and I have to school my face so my mouth doesn't just drop open. I completely understand. The first meal after a long travel is always the best. I look over at Hikaru, who would have normally joined the conversation by now, but he looks to be in deep thought. I glance over at Shizuka and she seems to be feeling the same way I do. Maybe she doesn't know what's going on either. Ugh, these two are so secretive. Not that I'm much better, I guess. What do you mean? You told your life story to Hikaru, with only Hikaru, but I don't think she was gonna tell her mom, never mind. I decided to break the silence with a neutral question. So, can you tell me anything about the village up ahead? You said it was called Miyazawa? Miyazawa or Miyazawa? Hikaru looks up at me then, and then immediately goes back to brooding. In truth, I do not know much about it. I've only briefly visited once. I only know they need assistance with some kind of monster in a nearby lake. So of course we had to come. A monster? My mind instantly goes back to the Japanese myths that I know and I shudder. I certainly hope not all of those are real. After everything I've learned in the past few months though, I'm sure whatever it is terrifying. I bite my lip. Timidly, I try to call up to the gods just to be extra sure they aren't going to respond. Galen? Haruka? Hello? They don't, of course. I don't know what I expected. If anything, but I can't help but wonder. Just what the hell are they doing anyway? Oh, we get a flashback? Haruka sits at the table with her fellow gods. The table is made out of stone or perhaps marble. It does not matter, for it floats above the god of chaos's pool of water, unheeding of such things as gravity. Haruka, sitting in a matching chair, gingerly reaches for her teacup. It is with shaking hands that she brings it to her lips as she watches the other two gods. Tsuneka no Mikoto sits to the left of Haruka. Her delicately crossed legs beneath the table belies the casual, almost boyish demeanor she demonstrates above. The time goddess lounges, her elbow on the table, face resting in her hand as she sips her tea. She looks across the table of the god of chaos who sits on Haruka's right. Have you been to the divine realms recently? I was invited rather recently by a certain trio of gods. They showed me a fascinating little box they thought might contain me. Contain you? People are still even attempting that? Laughter escapes his lips, half amused, half something else. Hope springs eternal, I suppose, even with gods, as human as that is. Haruka tries to steady her hand as she places the teacup back on the table. She asks herself how this ended up happening, but she realizes that there is no certain answer. Once they had sent Michiko off, Galen simply offered Tsuneka tea. The goddess has shrugged and said sure, leaving Haruka with her mouth hanging open. A table had been summoned, and that is now how the unlikely trio sat, discussing godly affairs as if it were gossip. Haruka could not find it in herself to participate in the conversation because in all honesty she was terrified of the two gods, and everything in her divine being told her that this arrangement was wrong. Divinities represented order, and chaos went against everything that stood for. Humans aren't so different from us, really. We're all fools. I will say fruits. We're all fruits. I am curious, though, what happened with the box? Did you leave the idiots alive? Fools they may be, but killing them would have been a waste. And I prefer not to deal with angry little gods attempting to avenge half-wits. Yet, despite being born with the power to keep the timelines in order, Seneca was the one taking advantage of the chaos, while Galen was the one trying to restore something very precious to her. It all made Haruka feel very confused, but in her heart, she knows that Galen is kind and fun to be with. And Seneca, well, she does not know how to feel about her. Haruka promises herself to spend some quiet time in the nature to clear her mind of all this when it is all over, and focuses on the conversing gods instead. I'm sure you're well aware that if you annihilated all of us now, then you wouldn't have to deal with any of this anymore. I wonder if you aren't just too kind. Galen falls quiet for a moment, his eyes turn somewhere far away beyond the Colosseum walls. His lips twist into a melancholy smile. That is not something I will do. His voice is quiet and the words themselves are strained, with an almost overwhelming sadness coloring them. Haruka sends a quiet wish that Michiko is doing alright and has located Hikaru already. After a little lunch break, we began to walk again, but it started raining. I figured. I was like questioning, I was like, the weather? And how am I pooping and peeing? I know I can do it in nature, but I'll take care of keeping us dry if that is alright with you, Michiko. I look at her in surprise, still not quite used to her calling out to me this way, but I manage to nod. Her eyes suddenly glow bright green, and with a small flick of her wrist, she creates an invisible bubble around us. The rain slides off, no longer drenching us. She gives us a little smile and wordlessly waves her hand again, and almost instantly drying us off. Must be great to have powers. We continue to walk up what seems like never-ending steps in silence. Are we accepted in this timeline to have powers? Or do people fear us? Or are they just cautious of us? I watch the steps under my feet, only half paying attention to our surroundings. I hear Hikaru gasp suddenly and almost trip over one of the steps. Who are you? Is that Suneka? Young Suneka? I look up to see a girl with a traditional umbrella standing on the steps above us. Sienna. Who's Sienna? Hikaru? The girl drops her umbrella and runs up to Hikaru. Before he can... I don't know who she is. I forgot. They mentioned her. And I forgot. Before he can so much react, she throws her arms around him, burying her face in his chest. It's really you. I can't believe you came back. I had to. You needed help. Hikaru gives a small young woman a gentle pat on the back with one hand. I glance at Shizuka, wondering how she's taking the situation, and see her calmly watching the two with a smile. Sienna seems to realize there's other people there for the first time and grows shy. She lets go of Hikaru and holds onto his arm instead. Hello, I am Sienna. Are you guys Hikaru's friends? The question is a simple one, but in the moment it makes me realize that I don't really know if I am or not. And who knows what Shizuka is to him. But Hikaru answers for everyone. They are my companions. They are here to help your village. This is Lady Shizuka and Lady Michiko. Lady Shizuka, the legendary sorceress. Shizuka gracefully nods her head in response. I feel kind of lame next to Shizuka, like an afterthought. But technically I do have all of Shizuka's powers, I guess. It's just that other people don't know that. It's strange to see my mother recognized like this. There was so much I didn't know growing up. I still can't wrap my head around the fact that any of this is even happening or was ever real. Sienna looks at me. You two look just alike. Are you related? Sisters, maybe? We're related, yes. Wow, I'm just gonna out and say that? Hikaru jumps in to divert the question, perhaps sensing my discomfort at having to explain the nature of my relationship with Shizuka. Sienna, we meant to be here earlier. Can you tell me the situation in the village as we walk? Of course. As we continue to walk up the steps, Sienna tells us that there has been a monster terrorizing people who go anywhere near the lake. I suspect that it might be a kappa. I figured! I was like, it's gonna be a kappa. Perhaps, but they are not normally so malicious. We'll know soon enough. Oh, look at this town. I really love all the, like, traditional CG art of the backgrounds. It's already evening by the time we reach the village. Hikaru's mood seems to have gone even darker. I sigh. Instead, I look around the village, taking in all the cute fox statues everywhere. You guys sure like foxes. Oh, they're kitsune. They're the deities we pray to here. Kitsune, the shape-shifting foxes, right? Yes. I love kitsune. Can you tell me more about them? I technically already know about them because I'm in the future, right? Oh, they're one of my favorite parts of folklore. I mean, I love kitsune. I'm so happy to hear that. They deserve all the love. I nod vigorously. They do. Shizuka quietly watches our interaction with a smile. Sienna, I was wondering how is it that you know Hikaru? Oh, well, I met Hiki when he stayed at my village last time to help us out. I was lucky that he let me bug him until we became friends. That was quite a few years ago, though. Hiki and I were just teenagers then. A teenager? What was he like? Sienna opens her mouth to respond when we were interrupted by an angry voice. How dare you show your face around here? We turn to find an angry woman with tears running down her face. A man stops beside her to see what's going on and gasped. You're the... Hearing the commotion, more villagers gather around, gasping and pointing right at Hikaru. What's going on? You're traveling with a murderer. I turn to look at Hikaru, who only stands there, receiving their anger and accusations as the crowd begins to yell things at him. Sienna grabs onto his arm protectively and glares at the crowd. Can everyone just calm down? I know that people you loved were hurt. I know that people died, but it was an accident. He was just trying to help. My husband died because of that monster. Half of our village was destroyed. It took us years to restore this much. How dare you show your face here now? What? He came back to try and help us. You can't. Sienna looks up as Hikaru puts a hand on his shoulder and then walks off on his own. I don't know what's going on. Hikaru, wait! Hikaru, wait, what's going on? Are we learning who he actually... Is this his first death that he did? Before I can even think about what I'm doing, I find my feet moving on my own, chasing after Hikaru. I follow Hikaru through the village, but he moves so fast that I can't catch up with him. He finally stops at a lake just outside of the village. I put my hands on my knees, entirely out of breath. My heavy breathing makes Hikaru turn around. Oh no, you're crying! Oh no! Oh... Is this why he was so depressed? Because it's getting closer and closer to the town where, like, they hate him? Oh, Hikaru. Tears. Seeing the tears freely streaming down Hikaru's face makes me think of the last time he cried in front of me. Hikaru seems embarrassed and turns away. I look down, uncertain how to approach the wind demigod. I don't want to be pushed away again, but right now supporting him is more important. Steeling myself, I walk up to him, though he's still facing away from me. Uncertain of what I'm doing myself, I stand there for a moment before gingerly putting my arms around him from behind. Yes! Yes, hug him! I love all the hugs! Except this time, I'm giving someone a hug. Oh, this is so great. I press my face into his warm back and tighten my arms around his waist. I feel him stiffen, but I squeeze my eyes shut and try to send him the message that it's okay, that he's not alone. Gradually, Hikaru relaxes and I open my eyes, staring at the setting sun over the peaceful lake. Occasionally, I feel little movements that I think might be sobs, and I just hold him tighter. Saying that I haven't been rejected yet, I finally work up the bravery to speak. Do you want to talk about what happened here? Hikaru lets out a heavy sigh and gently loosens my hold on him. He turns towards me. It is not something I like to talk about, but you have already seen and heard many things. I should clarify them at least. To understand, I need to explain what I am first, who I am. You already know that I am half god. Being a demigod does not quite work the same as other half species. It is more like there's a human Hikaru and a god Hikaru, both inside of me. Oh right, it's like two split personalities, right? When I was a child, I had difficulty controlling that god. A weak god though he may be, he is still destructive. That is why my mother gave me this earring. When I was 7 years old, I lost control of that god and badly hurt another child. My village called me things like freak. They did not know what I was, but they feared me. My father, though only a farmer, was brave and spoke up for me. He and his wife protected me. He sent me to bed early that night so that I could not hear the awful things they yelled outside our home, but I still heard. I could not sleep. I felt as if I was nothing but a burden to my parents. I did not know what I was or why I hurt people like this. Later that night, when the villagers had tired, I snuck out. I walked to the shore of a lake much like this one, and that is when my mother came to me for the first time. Haruka no Kaze. Yes, I had never met her, nor did I know the story of my birth. I was afraid at first, but I could feel her in her a sameness that I had never felt with anyone else before. She was beautiful, kind, and divine against the moonlight. and so I felt relaxed in a way I could never remember feeling before. She introduced herself as Haruka no Kaze, goddess of the winds. She told me that she was my birth mother. She said that she had met my father 8 human years ago and fell in love after he had tried to save her. My mother told me that made me half god, but she said that the god inside me was too strong to let out around humans, for they are naturally weaker. Hikaru touches his earrings. Or earring. He only has one. That is when she gave me this, to limit my power. Ever since that night, knowing that she was watching over me, knowing that I could fit in and not hurt anyone, I became happy and I was grateful. When I was 16 years old, I met Lady Shizuka. She had come to my village to rest and ended up fighting off a monster alongside me. That is when I decided that I wanted more than to just fit in. I wanted to help other people with my power. So I begged Lady Shizuka to take me with her, but she refused. Still, I was stubborn. I said farewell to my father and his wife, and the only other woman I knew as my mother, and I set off on my own to help people. But I made many mistakes during that time. During Onin War a few years back, I tried to help those who were weak that had been swept up in the war, but I was not able to save everyone. I saw so many die. Oh shoot, I'm so over time as well. Oh well, you guys will enjoy that. But anyway, we're finally learning more of Hikaru after like so many previous episodes, but it seems going like it's going well so far. We opened up to Hikaru. We saw him cry multiple times and it breaks my heart every time, but we gave him a hug, so that makes everything all better for me at least. But anyway, thank you guys for watching today's episode. Stay beautiful and I'll see you guys in the next one.
의미 없는 감정 소모해 반복된 시속 속에 이젠 지겨워지게 반복된 시속 속에